Mr. Benson, you may give your opening, sir.
You are nothing but a piece of shit. Rosa slams her hand down on the dresser and looks at the gun. Oh my God, she's going to kill me. Tim inches closer to the door, hoping he can escape. Please take your stuff and just leave, said Tim. Fuck off. Rosa rushes Tim and starts hitting him, kicking him in the knees. Tim bends over. Rosa starts punching him with her fist on the back. In full survival mode, Tim pushes Rosa back, stands himself up, rushes towards the gun, staggers there, grabs it as Rosa regains her footing and charges at him again. Tim quickly fires in Rosa's direction. 14 years ago, Tim met Rosa while they both worked at Walmart. They quickly started dating, and soon they married. Initially, they lived in an apartment together on 9th Avenue, and then they purchased a home together on Hillcrest Avenue. Tim and Rosa both had children from previous marriages. They became a blended family. They adopted a dog, Cody. They had many shared interests. They both loved NASCAR. They went to races together. They liked to go to the movies. They transitioned into different jobs. Tim started working nights at PetSmart, unloading trucks. Rosa started her career as a phlebotomist, working at Baptist, then working at West Florida Hospital. As the years went by, Tim and Rosa became ships in the night. Tim worked all night, slept all day. Shared moments became scarce, and Tim and Rosa started to feel more like roommates than a married couple. They distanced from each other emotionally and physically. They were sad. They wanted to regain their footing and get back to who they once were when they first started dating. A couple of months before this, Rosa was placed on leave at work. Tim transitioned from full-time to part-time at PetSmart. There was talk of therapy. Unfortunately, it never happened. 2 weeks before this, Rosa left. She took some of her belongings and went to live with her father. As you will see in many, many text messages, Tim and Rosa struggled during this period. It's clear they both still loved each other, but their marriage was broken. Tim begged Rosa to come back, to talk to him, to try to work it out. Both of them struggled to navigate living apart. Rosa came to the house a couple of times to talk, to gather some of her belongings, but the relationship could not be fixed with just a couple of conversations. Rosa continued to remove her personal belongings from the home. Tim started wondering if she would ever come back and how he would continue to pay for the house. They were already behind on mortgage payments. On July 22nd, 2024, Tim and Rosa exchanged text messages and phone calls about some items that Rosa wanted to pick up from the home. A bowl that belonged to her mother, a photo album. They planned to meet the next day. Tim hoped that this would be another chance to talk. Tim went to work at PetSmart on the 23rd. He clocked in around 3 a.m. He had too much on his mind, and he asked to leave early. He left around 4:30 a.m. and went home. Tim parked in the driveway. He went inside, and he waited for Rosa to return home. As time went by, thinking that she wasn't coming, Tim sent Rosa some emails indicating that he was going to put her stuff outside in the trash. Shortly after 6 a.m., Cody, their dog, barks. This is a sign to Tim that someone is outside. Rosa had returned. She had parked right behind Tim. Tim goes to the front door and lets Rosa in. Rosa walks through the living room, which is just inside the front door, and positions herself at the kitchen. She turns around, and Tim can immediately tell she's upset. "What is going to happen to the house?" Rosa asks. Tim tells her it's going back to the bank. We're behind on the payments. Rosa offers to buy the house from Tim for $10,000. Tim declines. He took $30,000 out of his Walmart 401k for the down payment. $10,000 didn't seem fair. "What about $15,000? Tim declines, and Rosa starts to get aggravated. Tim can see Rosa's face starting to get red. She's agitated. Tim also suspects that Rosa is intoxicated. You'll hear from the medical examiner, who confirms this, that Rosa had alcohol, Xanax, and THC in her blood at the time that this happened. The argument continues. Rosa cannot see why Tim won't sell his stake in the house to her. Rosa goes down the hallway and enters the marital bedroom. That's where her stuff was that she wanted to take. Tim follows, wanting to make sure that she took just her stuff and nothing else. The furniture, the things that they had purchased together, that, if they got divorced, would be divided up by the courts. Tim walks into the bedroom after Rosa. He walks past the dresser, stands by the bathroom door. Rosa is standing just inside the door and closes the door after Tim enters. Where's the bowl? Where's the photo album? Tim doesn't know, and Rosa becomes more and more agitated. Please, just take your stuff and go. Rosa becomes angrier. Rosa slams her hand down on one of their dressers. Can I at least take this? No, that will have to go through the divorce courts. The TV? No. Rosa's voice is getting louder, and she is becoming more elevated. Tim inches towards the door, seeing that this is not going to get any better. Rosa renews her request to buy the home from Tim, and Tim declines again. You are nothing but a piece of shit. Rosa slams her hand down on the dresser right next to the gun. She looks at it. Oh my God, she's going to kill me. You know the rest. Tim feared for his life when he shot Rosa. She was a black belt, and Tim had bad knees and a bad back. When Rosa looked at the gun, which Tim knew she knew how to use, they had been to the range together. Rosa had her own gun. He knew it was a life or death situation. He could not escape without turning his back to Rosa, and he did not want to put himself in such a vulnerable position. So he stood his ground. Unfortunately, when Tim fired the first 3 shots, Cody got in between Tim and Rosa. The first 3 shots passed through Cody and entered Rosa. Tim did not mean to do this. Unfortunately, Cody is okay today. After the shooting, Tim was devastated. He shot and killed his wife, although it was in self-defense. He was in shock. Tim didn't know what to do. He had never been in a situation like this before, and he started to make some bad decisions. Tim moves Rosa's car to a nearby ballpark. He's trying to buy himself some time to figure out what to do. Tim starts to mop up the floor, but he doesn't get very far, and he stops. Later, Tim sees Rosa's sister is trying to reach her. He sends her some messages from Rosa's account, making it seem like Rosa is at the beach. Tim has no one else to turn to, so he reaches out to his sister, Dolores, who lived in Milton. They exchange text messages for hours before Tim drives his car to her apartment in Milton. You undoubtedly will get to see all of these messages. They're bizarre. They really are. But after you read them a few times, you'll start to see that Tim really did believe that he was defending himself, that Tim clearly does not understand the law, and you'll get to see that the sister he turned to has some mental health issues. Before leaving for Milton, Tim pulled his car into the backyard to load some of his belongings into the vehicle. He drove to Milton, where the police found him at his sister's apartment. The police quickly made up their minds about what happened. One of them even cursed Tim out, calling him a piece of shit. They searched Tim and Rosa's home. They searched the cars. They searched the apartment. They missed some crucial evidence. 2 detectives, a crime scene tech, searched Tim's car. They can't find his gun. I find it right under the front seat a few months later. You'll hear more about that. What happened here was a tragedy, but Rosa left Tim with no other choice. Tim was defending himself. Tim is not guilty.